Dr. Ahuja is a god so far as the CA fraternity is concerned. There is no doubt about it, sir. And everybody is eager to hear you either virtually or physically, wherever you are. But anyway, we have got a great opportunity to hear you today. And you will be deliberating on the various issues relating to recent ordinances and changes in the finance bill. Now it is an act. We shall be enlightened, and all the questions shall be typed by the participants, which shall be answered in the later part of the program. Sir, I welcome everybody, all the participants. Once again, welcome you. Please start your deliberation, sir.
Thank you, Rajesh Singhania ji, and thank you, Raj Singhania ji also. You know, this discussion. I mean, this is my 4th lecture since morning. I had been traveling length and breadth of the country earlier. This is, people say challenges and opportunities. Instead of challenge, it is an opportunity for me. No, earlier for giving one lecture of 1.5 hours or 2 hours, I had to travel. And when sometimes you waste 24 hours or maybe more than that. Now you have to deliver a lecture sitting at home at ease. You are catering to all those who want that lecture. It can be up to 500 or more than that. I have since morning given 3, and this is my 4th one. So Sunday, but today every day is a Sunday. It's a different thing altogether. But what I'm trying to explain is that technology has taken over. What an opportunity of technology taken over. I don't know what the Zoom problem is there. I can't say anything, but that what is coming on social media, a video or Zoom. I can't say anything about that. But at the same time, let me tell you, it is a big opportunity. I'm very happy. At least I had to travel a lot. Now I can sit in my office or in my home and can talk to you. अब ये होता था कि कोई लीडर बनते थे तो वो कहते थे लीडर, मैंने कहा इनको क्या पैशन है. You become a leader, you will fight an election, it is a passion. You go and deliver a lecture, it is also a passion. पर दोनों का purpose different था. When आप लीडर बनते हैं या इलेक्शन लड़ते हैं तो you get abuses, आपको गालियां मिलती हैं. लेकिन हमें तालियां खाने का शौक था, क्योंकि हम जब लेक्चर देते तालियां मिलती थी. अब वो तालियां हमारी मिस हो जाएंगी क्योंकि हमें वो सुनाई देती थी. बाकी सब कुछ ठीक है. It is better sitting at home or sitting in the office to deliver lecture. So I'm coming back. I've divided this deliberation into 2 parts. One is the government amendment brought in at the time of passing of the finance bill, and second is the relaxation ordinance. Try to understand. What is government amendment first? Let me tell you, the finance bill every year is presented, and this year also it was presented on 1st of February 2020. Now, after this is presented, it is discussed. Then at the time of passing of the bill, the finance minister introduces certain amendment in the finance bill. The MPs also sitting there, whether opposition or for the government, can also introduce amendment in the parliament, in the Lok Sabha. Then these, amendments are put to vote. And whichever amendments are passed, they are incorporated in the finance bill. We call it them government amendment. This time also, when the bill was passed on 23rd of March, finance minister introduced about 40 amendments in the finance bill. Although there were 14 number, but for one section, there could be 3 more clauses. So if I sum up, there were only 18 amendments which are relevant, and that 40 were for different sections. Let me come in there. So the first thing, I don't want to waste my time on the first change, but let me, passing remark I can give you. Earlier, when the definition of Chief Commissioner was given in the Income Tax Act 215A, it said Chief Commissioner of Income Tax shall include Principal Chief Commissioner of Income Tax. They had not included Director General of Income Tax or Principal Director of General of Income Tax in that definition. Now the definition has been enlarged to include DGIT and Principal DGIT also under the definition of Chief Commissioner of Income Tax. Nothing doing. Come back to now important. Section 6 talks about residential status. The most important change that had taken place in the finance bill when it was presented. At that time, some concept of deemed resident was taken into consideration. I remember I traveled. After the budget, I came to Calcutta also. But thereafter, I traveled to Dubai, because when I was delivering a webinar on 1st of February, we got a lot of questions from Dubai and other Gulf countries saying that what kind of law is this? We will be put into great difficulty. This is not done. I told them, don't worry. Even this law is not that bad as you think so. But there were some problems. I traveled and delivered lecture I remember at Dubai, then to Kuwait, also went to Qatar, and also went to Oman, Muscat. There I told them what was the change and what is the relief for you. But there are other country, Bahrain and others, there was a lot of problem. But they still did not agree. There will be a lot of problem to us to obtain tax residency certificate and so many things. I came back and went to the department, discussed with the finance ministry. And let me tell you, they were very kind enough to listen to me. And after that, they made amendment, which of course I salute them. Will not put to these people to great difficulty. Some people who are misusing, they will be put to the little difficulty, but others will not. Let me explain to you now. We have Section 6, residential status. And clause 1 of the Section 6 talks about residential status of an individual. If you remember what it is, an individual is said to be resident in India if he has been in India for a period or periods amounting to all 182 days in the relevant previous year. If you are in India for 182 days, let me tell you, whether you are foreigner, you are a citizen, or you are anyone, if you are in India for 182 days, you are resident in India. And if you are not 182 days, then there was a second condition. Or in the 4 preceding previous year, he had been in India for 365 days or more. And in the relevant previous year, 60 days or more. Just 60 days or more if you were there for 365 days in the 4 preceding previous year. But remember, there was an explanation given under the Section 6(1). An explanation, clause B. I will not say A. A to leaving India for employment. When you are in there, the explanation was, I'm giving the old one. Then I will change the explanation of what is the addition done. Old explanation was there that in case of a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin who is outside India and he comes to India for a visit, the period of 60 days in condition number 2 shall be substituted by 182 days. Meaning thereby, if he is here for 182 days, he is otherwise resident in the first condition. So they had extended this, saying that a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin can come to visit India and he can stay in India for 181 days without being called a resident. The moment you are for 182, you are resident. You know what is the difference between resident and non-resident? A resident has to pay tax on the global income. Not only Indian income, but also on foreign income. Whereas a non-resident has to pay tax only on Indian income. That is income which is received in India or deemed to be received in India, or income which accrue or rise in India or deemed to accrue. This is non-resident, this is resident. Now, that condition which was there, that you can stay in India for 181 days without called resident, has been extended, but it has become difficult for certain persons. Now, what I say, original remains that in case of a citizen of India who is a person of Indian origin, who is outside India, makes a visit to India for the period of 60 days shall be substituted by 182 days. Now, please note, after this they have added, and in case of a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin who is outside India, his total income, with excluding the income from foreign source, his total income, excluding the income from foreign source, exceeds 15 lakh. Exceeds 15 lakh. The period of 60 days shall be substituted by 120 days. देखिए क्या चेंज किया। अगर आपकी टोटल इनकम विदाउट इंक्लूडिंग द इनकम फ्रॉम फॉरेन सोर्स, पहले ये समझ लीजिए, टोटल इनकम मींस इंडियन इनकम, फॉरेन इनकम नहीं लेनी, लेकिन रुकिए, दो फॉरेन इनकम लेनी है, क्यों लिखा है विदाउट इंक्लूडिंग द इनकम फ्रॉम फॉरेन सोर्स। सैलरी इनकम नहीं लेनी फॉरेन की, हाउस प्रॉपर्टी भी नहीं लेनी, कोई और कैपिटल गेन भी फॉरेन का नहीं लेना, अरे बिजनेस भी फॉरेन का नहीं लेना, रुकिए। लेकिन अगर वो बिजनेस आउटसाइड इंडिया है बट कंट्रोल्ड फ्रॉम इंडिया है, और वो प्रोफेशन आउटसाइड इंडिया है बट सेटअप इन इंडिया है, वो लेना है। टोटल इनकम मींस income received in India, deemed to be received in India, income accrue or rise in India, deemed to accrue or rise in India, plus two incomes. One, income of a business outside India, which is controlled from India, or income of a profession outside India, which is set up in India. ये 15 लाख से ज्यादा है तो आप इंडिया 119 दिन रह सकते हैं, 119 days to be called what he call non-resident. But if you are here for 120 days and in the 4 preceding previous year 365 days, you will be called resident. उनको नहीं छेड़ा, जो 15 से कम है, 15 लाख से कम है जिनकी ये वाली इनकम, वो यहाँ पर 181 days रह सकते हैं, because when they are 182 days they will become resident. So 181 days उनके लिए है जो 15 से कम वाले, और उसके बाद 120 days उनके लिए है जो 15 उनकी टोटल इनकम इंडिया की प्लस 2 फॉरेन सोर्स इनकम एक्सीड्स ₹15 लाख। ये कल जो एक्सप्लेनेशन है उसमें रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दिया गया उन लोगों की जो इंडिया की इनकम 15 लाख से ऊपर है, ये कहकर कि आप 119 दिन आ सकते। मैं बताऊंगा क्यों। एक्चुअली कई लोग यहाँ से नॉन रेजिडेंट हो गए, यहाँ से पैसा ले गए हैं, गुड मीन्स और बैड मीन्स, और वहां सेटल हो गए हैं, दे डोंट वांट टू कम टू इंडिया, और कई चीजें हैं, मैं उसको बताऊंगा बात। अब क्या हुआ सुनिए, अब दूसरी चेंज जो आई है सेक्शन 6 में क्लॉज 1A इंसर्ट की गई। ये तो करी तो 1 जुलाई को गई थी, बट दैट हैज बीन सब्स्टिट्यूटेड बाय न्यू वन। 1 जुलाई को जो करी गई थी बड़ी मुश्किल हो गया था, तभी मैंने कहा मैं बाहर भी गया था, लेकिन वो 1A बदल दिया। पहले पुराना क्या आया था वो सुन लीजिए, फिर 1A जो नया हो गया बाय गवर्नमेंट अमेंडमेंट वो सुन। 6(1)A पहले लिखा था नॉट विद स्टैंडिंग एनीथिंग कंटेन्ड अंडर 6(1). अरे 6(1) में लिखा है 182 डेज और 60 डेज, छोड़ो ना, नॉट विद स्टैंडिंग एनीथिंग कंटेन्ड इस इंडिविजुअल हु इज अ सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया who is not liable to pay tax in foreign country or foreign territory by reason of his residence or domicile or criteria of similar nature shall be deemed to be a resident in India. क्या कहा गया था? अगर आप उस कंट्री में जाए जहां पर टैक्स नहीं लगता, जैसे केमैन आइलैंड में कोई टैक्स है ही नहीं, जैसे बहामा में कोई टैक्स है ही नहीं, बरमूडा में कोई टैक्स है ही नहीं है, और बट इवन गल्फ में इंडिविजुअल को टैक्स नहीं लगता है, कुवैत में नहीं लगता है, अरे बहरीन में भी नहीं है, ओमान में नहीं है। अब वही तो शोर मचा रहे थे। अब वो कह रहा है कि नॉट विद स्टैंडिंग एनीथिंग इन 6(1) कि आप इंडिया के अगर आप इंडिया के सिटीजन हैं तो आप डीम्ड रेजिडेंट माने जाए। अरे डीम्ड रेजिडेंट मान के उनको मुसीबत लग गई कि हमें टैक्स देना पड़ेगा फॉरेन इनकम पर। फिर मैं वहां गया था, उनको समझाया था, नहीं ट्रीटी है और ट्रीटी की वजह से आप बच जाओ, लेकिन कई जगह ट्रीटी नहीं है या कई जगह और प्रॉब्लम आ रही थी, अब चेंज कर दिया, 6(1)A बदल दिया। व्हाट इज द न्यू 6(1)A? ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड, नॉट विद स्टैंडिंग एनीथिंग कंटेन। यहां भी मैं 15 लाख यूज करूंगा, लेकिन इस 15 लाख का कोई कारण और है, उसको 15 पे फोकस मत करना, इस पे फोकस करना कि बाहर टैक्स नहीं देना, मैं यूज कर रहा हूं। नॉट विद स्टैंडिंग एनीथिंग कंटेन्ड under section 6(1), a individual who is a citizen of India having total income without including the income of foreign source exceeding 15 lakh shall be deemed to be resident in India if he is not liable to pay tax in foreign country or a foreign territory by reason of his residence, domicile or criteria of similar nature. क्या कह दिया है? Look here, अगर आप सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया हो और आप बाहर हो और आपकी टोटल इनकम कौन सी अदर देन फॉरेन सोर्स, लेकिन मैंने बोला था 2 फॉरेन सोर्स की इनकम लेनी है. टोटल इनकम मीन्स इंडियन इनकम प्लस इनकम ऑफ ए बिजनेस व्हिच इज आउटसाइड इंडिया, सोल प्रोप्राइटरी बिजनेस, बिकॉज इंडिविजुअल की बात कर रहे हैं, इंडिविजुअल करेंगे तो सोल प्रोप्राइटरी होगा, आउटसाइड इंडिया बट कंट्रोल्ड फ्रॉम इंडिया, और अ प्रोफेशन आउटसाइड इंडिया सेटअप इन इंडिया. उस केस में वो मिला दीजिए इंडियन इनकम में. अगर 15 लाख से ज्यादा हैं तो आप डीम्ड सिटीजन माने जाएंगे, इवन इफ यू डोंट कम टू इंडिया वन फॉर वन डे. आप एक दिन भी इंडिया में नहीं आते. अरे मैं 181 दिन की बात नहीं कर रहा, एक दिन भी नहीं आते. आपकी इनकम अगर 15 लाख से ज्यादा है, इंडियन इनकम प्लस वो 2 सोर्सेज की, तो आप डीम्ड रेजिडेंट माने जाएंगे इफ यू आर नॉट लायबल टू पे टैक्स इन दैट फॉरेन कंट्री ड्यू टू योर रेजिडेंस, डोमिसाइल और दैट. अब क्या हुआ? अब देखिए, जो दुबई में रह रहे हैं, कुवैत में रह रहे हैं या बहरीन में रह रहे हैं, अगर उनकी इंडियन इनकम प्लस 2 सोर्सेज की इनकम, मेनली तो वो एम्प्लॉयमेंट में है, लेकिन अगर 2 सोर्सेज, बिजनेस आउटसाइड इंडिया, कंट्रोल फ्रॉम इंडिया, प्रोफेशन आउटसाइड इंडिया, सेटअप इंडिया, वो अगर 15 से कम है, they can come to India for 181 days without being called resident. But if their total income, including those source, exceeds 15 lakh, मर गए. वो एक दिन भी ना आए इंडिया, चाहे 10 दिन आए या 20 दिन आए, वो डीम्ड रेजिडेंट माने जाए. चिंता मत कीजिए, थोड़ी देर में मैं बताऊंगा डीम्ड रेजिडेंट माने जाएंगे. कोई बात नहीं, आगे क्या करा, रिलैक्स, वो मैं बता दूं. डीम्ड रेजिडेंट. अब आगे बढ़िए. अब आपने मालूम है, मैं डीम्ड रेजिडेंट को नहीं कह रहा, रेजिडेंट 2 कैटेगरी का हो सकता है, रेजिडेंट एंड ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट, रेजिडेंट बट नॉट ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट. बट नॉट ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट में लिखा था कि अगर आप इस कंट्री के रेजिडेंट हो गए, कैसे हुए, वो 182 डेज या वो 365 डेज एंड दिस, अगर रेजिडेंट हो गए तो वी विल फर्दर डिसाइड वेदर रेजिडेंट बट नॉट ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट. तो उसके लिए क्या कंडीशन थी, कि इफ यू आर नॉन रेजिडेंट आउट ऑफ 10 प्रीवियस ईयर इमीडिएटली प्रीसीडिंग द रेलेवेंट प्रीवियस ईयर. प्रीवियस ईयर में रेजिडेंट हो गए, लेकिन पिछले 10 सालों में अगर 9 बार नॉन रेजिडेंट हैं, तो हम आपको नॉट ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट कहेंगे, रेजिडेंट एंड नॉट ऑर्डिनरी कहेंगे. एक और था, और if in the last 7 preceding previous year, immediately preceding the relevant previous year, you were in India for not more than 729 days. That means you were in India for 729 days or less in 7 previous year. तो भी आप not ordinary resident माने जाएंगे. क्या फर्क है ordinary resident and not ordinary resident? Ordinary resident pays tax on the global income, even income, foreign income. Yes, it is different thing. Whatever tax he pays there, he gets a credit. But wait here, not ordinary resident pays tax, one on Indian income plus no foreign income except 2. फॉरेन इनकम पे नहीं देना, लेकिन 2 फॉरेन इनकम पे देना है, जिसकी मैंने अभी बात की थी. इनकम ऑफ ए बिजनेस आउटसाइड इंडिया बट कंट्रोल्ड फ्रॉम इंडिया, और इनकम ऑफ ए प्रोफेशन आउटसाइड इंडिया सेटअप इन इंडिया. तो वो 15 लाख में वो जोड़ दीजिए. अब सुनिए, अगर तो बाहर टैक्स दे रहे हैं, तो फिर आपको वो एक्सप्रेशन में मैंने बोला था कि आप 120 डेज 119 डेज आ सकते हैं. अगर आप बाहर टैक्स नहीं दे रहे, तो इंडिया में एक बार भी ना आओ, और 15 लाख से ज्यादा है तो आप डीम्ड रेजिडेंट बन जाते. अब इन्होंने क्या किया है, जरा ध्यान से सुनना. वो ये 2 कंडीशन तो रखी है, कौन सी, 9 आउट ऑफ 10 ईयर नॉन रेजिडेंट एंड 729 डेज और लेस इन 7, ये तो रखी है. अब क्या कह दिया है, जो डीम्ड रेजिडेंट है, कौन से डीम्ड रेजिडेंट, जो बाहर टैक्स नहीं देते और इंडिया की इनकम 15 लाख से ज्यादा इंक्लूडिंग दोस 2 सोर्स, अगर वो डीम्ड रेजिडेंट हैं तो उनको नॉट ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट माना जाएगा. अरे 15 से ज्यादा इंडिया में है, घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है, आप नॉट ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट हो. अगर नॉट ऑर्डिनरी है तो आपको इंडियन इनकम पे तो नॉन रेजिडेंट को भी टैक्स देना पड़ता है, लेकिन फॉरेन इनकम 2 इंक्लूड होंगी. एक होगी इनकम फ्रॉम बिजनेस आउटसाइड इंडिया but controlled from India, income of a profession outside India, set up in. तो आप नॉट ऑर्डिनरी बन जाएंगे और डीम्ड रेजिडेंट हमेशा ही नॉट ऑर्डिनरी माना जाएगा। ये उन्होंने कर दिया, नॉट ऑर्डिनरी में डाल दिया। अब मैंने वो बोला था आप सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया है, ये कौन सा केस है? आप बाहर टैक्स देते हैं, आप सिंगापुर में है वहां टैक्स है, यूके में है, यूएसए में है, आप हांगकांग में वहां टैक्स है, आप बाहर टैक्स देते हैं। हमने आपको बोला था इफ इंडियन इनकम वो इनकम टोटल इनकम एक्सीड्स 15 लाख तो आप 1119 डेज आ सकते, 1119 डेज टू कॉल नॉन रेजिडेंट। देखिए नॉन रेजिडेंट को फायदा क्या होता है? एक तो फॉरेन इनकम पे टैक्स नहीं देना, और एक जो इंडियन इनकम है तो वो ट्रीटी का बेनिफिट मिल जाता है कि अगर उस कंट्री से ट्रीटी है और वो वहां का रेजिडेंट है तो ट्रीटी की वजह से इंडियन इनकम, कुछ इंडियन इनकम पर टैक्स कम रेट पे पड़ता है, कंसेशनल रेट पे पड़ता है, इसलिए लोग नॉन रेजिडेंट बन जाते हैं। लेकिन रुकिए, अब हमने इनको कह दिया कि लुक यार 119 दिन, लेकिन एक और सुनिए क्या कहा, ये नॉट ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट में डाल दिया, a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin who is outside India whose total income before including the income from source exceed 15 lakh, then he can stay in India for 120 days to 181 days. अगर तो 1119 days रहता है वो तो नॉन रेजिडेंट है, लेकिन 120 डेज से 181 डेज रहता है तो उसको नॉट ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट कर दिया। देखिए दो एक्स्ट्रा नॉट ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट किए, एक तो आप डीम्ड रेजिडेंट। डीम्ड रेजिडेंट तो तभी होगा जब फॉरेन में टैक्स नहीं है और इंडियन इनकम 15 से ज्यादा है। अब दूसरा केस, आप डीम्ड रेजिडेंट नहीं है लेकिन आप फॉरेन में हैं, आप इंडिया में 119 दिन से ज्यादा आना चाहते हैं और आपकी इंडियन इनकम 15 से ज्यादा है, तो रुकिए, आप 181 डेज तक रह सकते हैं। अरे 182 डेज रहेंगे तो रेजिडेंट हो जाएंगे, 181 डेज तक रह सकते हैं, लेकिन आपको नॉट ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट कहेंगे। और नॉट ऑर्डिनरी कहने पर क्या होगा? जो बिजनेस आउटसाइड इंडिया है, कंट्रोल फ्रॉम इंडिया है, उस पर भी टैक्स लगेगा। जो प्रोफेशन आउटसाइड इंडिया है, सेटअप इंडिया है, वो भी लगेगा। रुकिए रुकिए और सुनिए, मैं एक एग्जांपल देता हूं। हरीश साल्वे, आपको पता है चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट भी है, लॉयर भी है, वो इंडिया प्रैक्टिस करता है, ये सेटअप प्रोफेशन इन इंडिया, लेकिन बाहर भी अपीयर होता है, बहुत कंट्री में होता है, वहां जाएगा, वहां पर उसको मिलेगी कंसल्टेशन फीस जो भी है। अब उसकी इंडियन इनकम 15 से ज्यादा तो है ही है, ऐसे कोई कहने की बात ही नहीं है। अगर वो इंडिया 119 डेज आता है तो नॉन रेजिडेंट है और नॉन रेजिडेंट के ट्रीटी का बेनिफिट भी ले सकता है। लेकिन अगर वो इंडिया 120 डेज से लेकर 181 डेज रहना चाहता है तो भी हम उसको नॉट ऑर्डिनरी कहेंगे, और नॉट ऑर्डिनरी होने पे प्रोफेशन जो सेटअप इन इंडिया है उस पर तो देना पड़ेगा, लेकिन बाकी कोई सैलरी इनकम वहां है, कोई हाउस प्रॉपर्टी इनकम वहां है, कैपिटल गेन वहां पर है, या वहां पर कोई प्रोफेशन है जो इंडिया से सेटअप नहीं हुआ, उस पर नहीं देना पड़ेगा। ये देखिए ये लाए। लेकिन रुकिए, दिक्कत क्या होती है जब आप नॉट ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट बन जाते हो, एक नुकसान भी होता है, और आप किसी और कंट्री के रेजिडेंट भी हो तो फिर क्या होता है, आप दो कंट्री के रेजिडेंट माने जाते। अरे आप इंडिया के नॉट ऑर्डिनरी, वहां पे रेजिडेंट है, और जब जब दो कंट्री के रेजिडेंट हो जाते तो मैंने बताया था टाई ब्रेकर रूल लगता है। हर ट्रीटी में टाई ब्रेकर रूल होता है, क्योंकि आप दोनों कंट्री के रेजिडेंट नहीं हो सकते फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ टैक्स। आपको टाई ब्रेक करके ये बताना पड़ेगा कि आप किस कंट्री के रेजिडेंट हैं। अगर आप फॉरेन कंट्री के रेजिडेंट हैं तो इंडिया के नॉन रेजिडेंट बन जाते हैं तो आपको ट्रीटी बेनिफिट मिल जाता है, लेकिन आप इंडिया के रेजिडेंट हो गए तो वहां पे मिलेगा ट्रीटी बेनिफिट, आपको यहाँ तो टैक्स देना पड़ेगा। तो इन्होंने क्या कहा कि ट्रीटी बेनिफिट दे, टाई ब्रेकर लगाए। अब हमारे यहाँ बहुत महारथी हैं जो इंडिया से जाकर वहां चले गए सिंगापुर, वहां 15% टैक्स है, या और किसी कंट्री में चले गए, टैक्स तो दे रहे हैं लेकिन कम दे रहे हैं। अब हमने उनको क्या कहा है, अगर आप इंडिया 120 दिन आ गए और 181 दिन तक तो हम डीम्ड नॉट ऑर्डिनरी कह देंगे, और आप वहां पर भी हैं। अब हम टाई ब्रेकर लगाएंगे। जब टाई ब्रेकर लगाएंगे तो पहला टाई ब्रेकर होता है कि आपका परमानेंट होम काम पर, you will be treated as resident of that place where you have a permanent home. अगर आपका परमानेंट होम सिंगापुर में है तो आप वहां के रेजिडेंट हैं, यहाँ के नॉन हो जाएंगे। लेकिन रुकिए, अगर आपका परमानेंट होम दिल्ली में है तो आप वहां, लेकिन सपोज और परमानेंट होम दोनों जगह पर है तो ये फिर टाई ब्रेकर लगाना पड़ता है, ये खत्म हो गया। फिर पूछते हैं आपका इकोनॉमिक इंटरेस्ट कहाँ है, पर्सनल इंटरेस्ट कहाँ है, वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट कहाँ है। अब ये बाहर सेटल तो हो गए हैं बड़े आदमी, लेकिन उनका वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट तो इंडिया में ज्यादा है, वहां कम है। इंडिया में एसेट्स हैं, इंडिया में घर है, इंडिया में नॉन रेजिडेंट एक्सटर्नल अकाउंट है, सो मच मनी इंडिया लाइक। तो इनको हमने कहा क्योंकि आप टाई ब्रेकर में फेल हो जाएंगे, आपका इंटरेस्ट यहाँ पर है, आपको यहाँ पर रेजिडेंट मान लिया जाएगा। जब मोमेंट वो रेजिडेंट यहाँ के हो जाएंगे तो उनको नुकसान होगा, यहाँ का रेट टैक्स लगेगा। सबसे ज्यादा ये इसलिए किया गया डिविडेंड को, 1 अप्रैल ऑनवर्ड्स डिविडेंड अब शेयर होल्डर के हाथ में टैक्स होता है। अगर वो नॉन रेजिडेंट है और इंडियन कंपनी का डिविडेंड आता है तो उस केस में ट्रीटी बेनिफिट मिल जाता है, और ट्रीटी में तो डिविडेंड 10% टैक्सेबल होता है, क्योंकि उस कंट्री में टैक्स लग रहा है तो इंडिया में सिर्फ 10% लगता है ट्रीटी में। अब दिक्कत ये आई कि अगर वो इंडिया का रेजिडेंट हो जाएगा, उस केस में प्लीज नोट उसको स्लैब रेट पे टैक्स देना पड़ेगा, और उसका स्लैब अगर 10 या 15 लाख से ऊपर है तो 30% है, और ऑब्वियसली उसको इंडियन रेट पे टैक्स देना पड़ेगा जो ज्यादा है। इसलिए रोका है। ये लोग गए हैं और इनका वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट इंडिया में है और ये डिविडेंड ले जाएंगे और वो वहां का नॉन रेजिडेंट बनना चाहेंगे तो वहां का रेजिडेंट बनना चाहेंगे तो हम, और इंडिया का नॉन रेजिडेंट बनना चाहेंगे तो लॉस हो जाएगा रेवेन्यू को, उनको तो 10% मिलेगा और कहीं कहीं ट्रीटी में तो 5% डिविडेंड टैक्स, इसलिए उनको ये करा। तो ये सारा खेल मैंने आपको बताया रेजिडेंशियल स्टेटस का है जो आपके सामने मैंने रखा। तो ये 6(1)(a) चेंज हुआ, एक्सप्लेनेशन चेंज हुआ, डीम टू बी रेजिडेंट का चेंज हो गया, जो मैंने आपको बता दिया। काफी इंपॉर्टेंट था, इसलिए मैंने आपको थोड़ा टाइम लगाया। अगला चीज देखिए, मैं गया था कलकत्ता भी, कोलकाता कहूंगा अब तो, और सब कंट्री लेंथ एंड ब्रेड्थ पे गया था। तो मैंने बोला था और वो हमने सजेस्ट किया था गवर्नमेंट को कि चैरिटेबल ट्रस्ट हमारे यहाँ है, चैरिटेबल रिलीजियस ट्रस्ट भी है, स्कूल कॉलेज यूनिवर्सिटी हॉस्पिटल इंस्टीट्यूशंस भी हैं। अब चैरिटेबल जो ट्रस्ट हैं, जो सिर्फ यूनिवर्सिटी कॉलेज हॉस्पिटल्स हैं या मेडिकल इंस्टीट्यूशन है, उनके पास 2 ऑप्शन थी। दे कुड गो अंडर 1023C, वहां पर अप्रूवल लेनी पड़ती है। दे कुड गो अंडर 12AA, वहां रजिस्ट्रेशन थी, और वो दोनों भी रख सकते थे, अप्रूवल भी रजिस्ट्रेशन भी, और हर साल वो अपना ऑप्शन चेंज कर सकते। मैं बोल के आया था, एक तो आगे से, एक मिनट सुन लीजिए, जो भी चैरिटेबल ट्रस्ट हैं जो 1023C में है, या जो भी चैरिटेबल और रिलीजियस ट्रस्ट हैं जो 12AA में है और रजिस्टर्ड है, इन सबको मैंने बोला था एक बार फ्रेश अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा 31 अगस्त तक टू गेट अ फ्रेश रजिस्ट्रेशन और अप्रूवल। हमने ये सजेस्ट किया था कि ये रजिस्टर्ड तो है, अप्रूव्ड तो है, इनके पास सर्टिफिकेट नहीं है अप्रूवल की और रजिस्ट्रेशन के, दिक्कत आ रही। कोई बात नहीं, एक मिनट जरा, मैं लो बैटरी हो गई, मैं कैन आई टेक a 1 minute break? Let me put this one. I'm holding on.
Sure, sir.
Yes, sir.
I didn't realize that there is a low battery.
हारोल, हाँ, अरे अभी कम ऑन किया।
One minute, sir. 1 minute only. Since I have been delivering lecture 3 बार हो गया, वो लो बैटरी तो हो ही जानी थी, didn't realize कि इसको चार्ज करनी चाहिए।
सर,
हाँ जी, कैन यू हियर मी नाउ?
हाँ, आई कैन हियर। राज बोल रहा हूँ सर। इसमें 1-2 जन मैं एक्चुअली क्या है, चेन्नई वगैरह से भी हैं।
जी, क्या बोलिए?
There are few audience from outside Kolkata also, and they are asking if the English can be the medium so that we can understand everything.
I normally speak an English medium, but I thought this is a Calcutta only, so I'll not say anything in Hindi now, because normally I check up every time. Because the other day I had a lecture, there were more than 500, but they were all from all over India. So that was only English medium. Now I'll remain only in English medium. So what I'm trying to explain, let me explain one more, that now what is going to happen is, 1 minute, let me check up whether it is charging or not. That's all. Yes, please. Now what I'm trying to explain, if you are not liable to pay tax in foreign country and you are a citizen of India, even if you do, if your total income, Indian income plus two sources income, exceeds 15 lakh in that previous year, you will be called deemed resident. The moment you are called deemed resident, you will be resident but not ordinary resident. Meaning thereby, you will have to pay tax not only on Indian income, but also income which is a business outside India, but controlled from India, or a profession outside India set up in India. This is one. Second case, you are paying tax in foreign country. You are outside India, you are a citizen of India, or a person of Indian origin. You can come to India and stay in India for a visit, but not more than 119 days. If you are up to 190 days in India, you are non-resident. But if you stay here for 120 days to 181 days, you will be called not ordinary resident. I told you the benefit of non-resident is, if he's a resident of foreign country and a non-resident of India, the benefit is certain incomes is taxable at concessional rate in India, because he is liable to pay tax in that foreign country. Like if he receive dividend in India, then we go to treaty. In India, dividend is taxable now from 1st April at normal rate. That is, it can be 30%. But if you go to treaty and go for advantage of treaty and you are a resident of outside India, the treaty says you have to pay tax in India at the rate of 10% because the balance is taxed in foreign country. In some part, the treaty says 5%. But in our country, it is slab rate. So that benefit of non-resident is there. But wait, that benefit may be here. He paid 10% here, but he has to pay tax in foreign country also. But wait. Now, but not ordinary resident, if you see the treaty, what happens is you are a resident of two places. One resident of foreign country and resident of India also. Then deemed resident or resident. So in this case, what happens in treaty is that you have to go for tiebreaker rule. And in a case of tiebreaker rule, you have to decide which country you are resident. And if it happens to be resident in India, the dividend will be taxable at the normal rate, not at this concessional. So this is the reason why the government has done it. Now I proceed further. I said, we have in India charitable trust. Educational institution, hospitals have two options. Either they go under 1023C, which is called as approval, or they go under 12AA, which is called as registration. Sometimes they have both approval as well as registration. And they were filing return, and they could opt for anything, either approval or registration. They could file return under 1023C, or they could file return under 1112. But now I told you when I came there that please note, in future, you can either have 1023C benefit or 12AA. You cannot have both, number one. Number two, I told you, if you are already approved or registered, you have registration number or approval, but you all will have to apply afresh by 31st of August in a simplified form, and you will be allotted a unique ID for future. But the only change is that once you have applied, you got a unique ID, the registration or approval will be valid for a period of 5 years. And you will have to go for renewal at least 6 months prior to the expiry of 5 years. That is the case happening. Now, what is the change? Let me tell you, in 1023C, people were not opting for one reason. Corpus donation, if a university, college, or school, or hospital gets corpus donation, it was not exempt. They had to apply 85%. to get the exemption. In case of corpus donation, under 12AA, if you are registered, the corpus donation is exempt under 11(1)(d), meaning thereby you need not apply there. Of that 85% application is not necessary. But if you are under 1023C, corpus donation is taxable. That you have to apply that 85%. Now, please, amendment made by the government, because now you have to have one kind of approval or registration. The amendment is now under 1023C also, corpus donation shall be exempt. They have inserted explanation under proviso 3 stating that there is need not apply 85%, corpus donation shall remain exempt. So this is the benefit which has been given in the government amendment, and I have told. Next thing, when I came to Calcutta or wherever place, I appreciated Mr. Modi for one good proposal they had brought in the bill, which was in the form of Section 23 FE. What he had said, that look here, there is a Abu Dhabi Investment Authority in Abu Dhabi. There are sovereign wealth fund in various foreign countries. They all invest money outside their country to get more revenue. Now we told them, look here, Abu Dhabi Investment Authority or sovereign wealth fund, why don't you come and invest in India? We'll give you relief. What relief? That if you give your money as debt to us, as loan, the interest on that amount shall be exempt. Or if you give us equity, then the dividend or from shares or capital gain on the sale of share shall also be exempt, provided certain conditions are satisfied. We told them, come and invest in India, but we'll give you 3 conditions. Now, earlier there were 2 types of institutions. One is in Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, second was sovereign wealth fund. Now we have, in foreign countries, there are many pension funds whose income is exempt in foreign country, and they want to earn income. So they want to invest outside the country so that they get better return. So we tell them, look here, pension fund of the foreign country can also come and invest in India. So now 3 types of institution. Number 1, I said Abu Dhabi Investment Authority. Number 2, I said sovereign wealth fund. And number 3 is, I told you, pension fund of the foreign country. Now wait, I told them to bring the money in India, invest in debt, interest exempt, invest in equity. Later on they realized equity is only share capital. What about units? Now they've changed the word from equity. They have said invest in share capital or units. If you invest in share capital or units, we are going to give you exemption of dividend or income from unit and capital. And you have to invest, condition number 1, between 1st April 2020 and 31st, on or before 31st March 2024. Second condition was, when you invest in India, the lock-in period of that investment will be for a period of 3 years. And third, which was there earlier, that you have to invest in a domestic company or in an enterprise who is engaged in the business of developing, operating, and maintaining infrastructure facility, or in any other which may be prescribed by the center. It was only that. Now they have changed. They said you can come and invest in India, number 1, in business trust. We have 2 types of business trust in India. One is called real estate investment trust. The other is called infrastructure investment trust. We have been told, come and invest there. Or 2, come and invest in a domestic company or an enterprise who is engaged in the business of developing, operating, and maintaining an infrastructure facility or any other which is approved. And there is a third which is also added. You can come and invest. We have in India alternative investment fund of category 1 and alternative investment fund of category 2. We told them you can invest in this also. But look here, condition added that these alternative investment fund will invest in turn their 100% money which they have received in one or more than one, infrastructure. So this is the change. Money will come. This is a recent disaster. It will take now little more time. Once the things improve, the money has to come and we will get a lot of benefit under 10 for 23 April. Next change. You know, you have been told that dividend with effect from 1st April 2020 shall be taxable in the hands of the recipient. And that's why consequential amendment were made in 115O as well as in section 1034, because 1034 said dividend is exempt. Now tell me one thing. I remember I'm on the board of many companies and I'm audit committee chairman of the companies also. I was sitting in a meeting, audit committee meeting. They said, sir, from 1st April, dividend is going to be taxed in the hands of the recipient. And our recipient, particularly promoters, are going to get a lot of dividend. What will happen? Their rate will be 30% plus surcharge for education. There's too much amount. But if today we distribute the dividend, if we declare and pay the dividend distribution tax, that we will have to pay 21% approximately. And recipient, if receive less than 10 lakh, it is exempt. If he receives more than 10 lakh, then only tax is 10% on an amount exceeding 115 BBDA. So, sir, can we distribute the dividend or declare dividend on 29th March, 30th March, 31st March? I said, what is the problem? You said the problem is that if I distribute dividend, we have to make the payment by 31st March. Because if they receive on or after 1st April dividend, that will be taxable in the hands of the recipient. And we have to issue dividend warrants also. Then I realized that there is a problem. Then I discussed with the department. And they said, yes, there is a point in that. So then the amendment has been made in 115O and 1034, saying that if the dividend has been declared as it was interim dividend, not a final dividend, interim dividend, and you have paid a dividend distribution tax on that, then even if it is received on or after 1st April 2020, on which DDT has been paid, it will not be taxable in the hands of the recipient. You don't have to pay double tax. No. If it is already paid by the company, because it is already declared or paid before 31st March, once dividend warrants are issued, it is paid. It's a different thing you may receive after that. Nothing to worry. You don't have to pay tax on that. Company has already paid tax on that. But after this, if the dividend is received, obviously, if it is declared after on or after 1st April, you receive it, it will be taxable in the hands of the recipient. That you know that. But wait a minute. Now it is intercorporate dividend. ATM was brought. Since now dividend is going to be taxed in the hands of the recipient. Now let's say one company, domestic company, has invested in the another domestic and it receives dividend. It will have to pay tax. No. ATM was introduced or is inserted saying that if a domestic company received dividend from the another domestic company, and if that dividend is distributed to its shareholder, then this recipient company will not have to pay tax. It is the shareholder who has received dividend from the company will pay tax. That was the way. But now what is the change they have done? First there was a domestic company receiving from another domestic company, ATM. Now what is the change? Where a domestic company received the dividend from another domestic company, number one. Number two, from business trust. Or number three, from foreign company also. The dividend which has come from foreign company. If you have received these three types of dividend from domestic company, a company receiving dividend from domestic company, a company receiving dividend from business trust, a company receiving dividend from foreign company, that amount shall be allowed as deduction if that company distribute that amount to its shareholder. So ATM deduction will be allowed. So now instead of receiving from another domestic company, it is receiving from another domestic company, or I told you business trust or foreign. This is amendment made in ATM. Next, please try to listen this carefully. You remember in the case of a company, domestic company, the rate of tax was reduced to 22%. Under section 115 BAA, that was the option. If you want to pay 30 or 25, you get all benefit of exemption and deduction. But if you want to pay at 22%, 115 BAA, for which you have to opt, you will not be entitled to any exemption or deduction. I'll tell you what happened at that time. Similarly, 115 BAB, if you incorporate a company on or after 1st of October 19, and you start manufacturing production by buying new machinery, you will pay tax at the rate of 15% plus surcharge for education cess. Remember, when this amendment was brought by Taxation Amendment Act, that time they had said you will not get any exemption or deduction. But Chapter 6A deduction, they said 80IA onwards will not be allowed, but 80G, 80GGB, etc. will be allowed. At that time it was said. But when the bill was presented on 1st of February, they made the amendment. Back date, 2021 assessment year, previous year 1920, they said you will not be allowed any reduction under Chapter 6A, complete from 80G onwards. Not only for 80IA onwards, even 80G will not be allowed, 80GGB will not be allowed if you want to pay tax at the rate of 20% in assessment year 2021 or at the rate of 15%. Assessment year 2021 means previous year 19. Now the disaster. Now if you want donation from them, they will say we are not going to be allowed a deduction. Why should we make a donation? Now what has happened? They have changed now in a government amendment that this applicability of 80G or 80GB not to be allowed will be from next year, will be from assessment year 21-22, previous year 2020. Meaning thereby, even if you want to pay tax at 22% plus 10% surcharge, etc., or 15%, you will be eligible for making donation under 80G. The deduction will be allowed. Earlier, it was withdrawn. 80G deduction. You will say 31st March is over. We have not done donation. You know that ordinance has come. I'll discuss with that. That has been extended to 30th June. So you can make a donation of under 80G. You will get deduction even if you pay tax at the rate of 22% or the 15% as the case may be. This is only for donation made till 30th June, which will be considered for made up to 31st March. If you want to claim deduction next year, not allowed, because 22% deduction not allowed. 15% deduction under Chapter 6A will not be allowed. But yes, if you make this donation up to 30th June, you can claim deduction in 1920 because of that ordinance which I'll tell you. So this is the change in what you call 115 BAA and BAB. Remember section 115 BAC in case of individual HUF, what a new scheme has come, new tax regime, that instead of remaining under old scheme, you can come to a new regime by paying tax on the first 2,50,000, whether more than 60 year or less than 60 year, no difference. More if you on first 2,50,000 nil, on the next 2,50,000 5%, on the next 2,50,000 10%, on the next 2,50,000 15%, on the next 2,50,000 20%, on the next 2,50,000 25%, and the income above 15 lakh 30%. Remember, that scheme came, but it was told that you will not be allowed any exemption or deduction. This is applicable for previous year 2021, assessment year 2021 too. You will not be allowed any exemption or deduction. But you were told the choice is yours. You can opt for switching over to new scheme before the due date of return, which is going to be on 31st July 2021 or 31st October 2021. You can opt for it. Wait. The option was that if you have income from business, then option was allowed only for once. Decide when you want. Once you go to a new scheme, you cannot come back to old scheme. You continue the old scheme, but once you go for new scheme, You cannot come back to old scheme. Yes, one chance was given that you can come back. But word used was income from business. And for all other, you could change option every year. You can go to new, you can come back to old, you can go to new. Every year you could change. At that time in a lecture, I said that the word used is income from business. It is not profession. So a professional can change option every year. That message went to them, either in the YouTube or I discussed for concession and I told them that you are mistaken. You will not be allowed. A professional can change every year. Now the amendment has been made. The government amendment says, look here, if you are an income from business or profession, maar diya, pakad liya, because maine suggest kiya, if you have income from business and profession, the option is to be exercised only once and it will be applicable for subsequent year also. But one chance has been given in proviso that you can come back only once, but every year you cannot change. But if you have income, total income does not include income from business or profession, then yes, you can change every year. So this is the change which has been made in section 115 BAC by including along with business profession. Next thing, let me tell you. 194J, remember I told you there was always a dispute between TDS on technical services. You are maintaining a computer, annual maintenance of computer. The always difficulty was whether it will be 194C 2% or it is 194J 10%. The concession was given in the bill that if there is a fee for technical services other than in the nature of professional services, then the rate of TDS will be 2% under 194J instead of 10%. The benefit is there. Now additional, one more. What happened? They have changed the definition of royalty. The royalty definition given under section 9(1) VI. The definition of royalty earlier excluded. What it excluded? Sale of cinematography film or exhibition of cinematography film or distribution of cinematography film will not be considered, any consideration received will not be considered as royalty. But change. Now, law has changed. They say royalty in the nature of consideration for sale of cinematography film, for distribution of cinematography film, for exhibition of cinematography film, whatever consideration you receive will be treated as royalty. And once it is a royalty, the TDS rate under 194J is 10%. Now what they have said, that in case of a royalty, which is in the nature of sale of cinematography film or distribution of cinematography film or exhibition of cinematography film, the rate of TDS in this case shall be also 2% instead of 10%. So for two things it is 2% now. One is fee for technical services, other professional services, and second is this one, royalty in the nature of fee, sale, exhibition or distribution of cinematography film. This they have changed, what is called 194J. Next, remember, there was one section which was introduced last year, which was 194N. What was 194N? The banks, post offices, the cooperative bank were put an obligation that if somebody withdraws more than 1 crore in cash in one or more than one account from a bank, particular bank, all branches taken together, more than 1 lakh, TDS to be deducted at the rate of 2% of amount exceeding 1 crore. Now what they have done? This 194N has been substituted by new section 194N with effect from 1st of July 2020. Please note, 1st July. That means up to 30th June 2020, old 194N will come. But from 1st July 2020, the new 194N. What is the new? Not much of change, but try to understand. If you are withdrawing more than 1 crore from bank, and the bank is under an obligation to, or the cooperative bank or post office under an obligation to deduct tax, same, 2% of an amount exceeding 1 crore. But now proviso, provided that if you are liable to file return of the past return and you have not furnished the return of the past 3 assessment year, you have not furnished the return of the past 3 assessment year, past 3, then the TDS will be deducted at the rate of 2% of an amount exceeding 20 lakh, 20 instead of 1 crore. While collecting this 20 lakh, you know that up to 30th June, it is 1 crore. While computing 20 lakh, you will include April to June also. But TDS start deducting only from 1st of July of an amount exceeding 20 lakh. TDS deducted 2%. Wait, if already 20 lakh has been deducted before that, withdrawn, don't worry. Now any amount on or after 1st July you did, it will be 2%. But this is only 2% only when you have not furnished. 20 lakh limit is only when you have not furnished return of income of the past 3 assessment years. If you have furnished, then 2% on 1 crore. 2%. Now in this case also provided further that up from 20 lakh to 1 crore, you will deduct TDS 2% if it is cash. But if it is more than 1 crore, on amount exceeding 1 crore, 5%. This 2 and 5 is for those who have not furnished return of the past 3 years. Past 3 years. But if you have filed return, it is only on above 1 crore, or that is 2%. This is 194N applicable, old applicable till 30th June, new applicable from 1st July. Next year. Coming to the next one. Remember, 194O was introduced regarding e-commerce operator making payment to e-commerce participant. They will deduct 1% TDS, which was applicable from 1st of April 2020. No, it has been postponed to 1st of October 2020. So if e-commerce operator is making payment to e-commerce participant till 30th September, no TDS. But if he makes the payment on or after 1st of October 2020, TDS to be deducted at the rate of 1% by e-commerce operator at the time of making payment to e-commerce participant. This is the change. Now let us come to next section. 206C1G and 206C1H, TCS. Remember, I told you, under liberalized scheme, a resident of India can remit up to $250,000 to a country outside India without any approval of Reserve Bank. $250,000. And I told you, 206C1G, authorized dealer have been now asked to collect TCS at the rate of 5% of an amount remitted outside India if it exceeds 7 lakh. On amount exceeding 7 lakh, 5%. And tour operator, foreign tour package, will collect 5%. And there was 206C1H. If you are a seller of goods and your turnover the preceding year exceed 10 crore and you are receiving money from the buyer for total amount of more than 50 lakh, then you will collect TCS at the rate of 0.1%. Remember that? Now what has happened? These two sections were made applicable from 1st April 2020. These have been also taken to 1st October 2020. It's not 1st October, not from 1st July, 1st April to 30th September. No TCS on remittance, no TCS on foreign tourist pay. Second point. Now come to liberalized scheme, 5%. I said at that time, 5% is a very big amount. Particularly a person who has borrowed money for education of his children who are studying abroad. He has already borrowed money. He doesn't have money. Now you want him to pay extra 5%. You will get credit later on. But where from I will arrange that 5%? It's too high an amount. I said if you have to monitor, you can monitor with low amount also. I told about medical also. I came and discussed with them. They have agreed for education, but not for medical. Now what they have said, that now, if the amount does not exceed 7 lakh, no TCS. But if the amount exceeds 7 lakh, including the amount which have already been remitted till 30th September, you will start collecting 5% on amount just from October onwards, whatever you have remitted, 5%. But for calculating the limit of 7 lakh, whatever remitted up to 30th September will also be included, 5%. 5%. For tour package, also 5%, no limit. But up to 30th September, nothing. From 1st October, 5%. But wait, if you have borrowed money from financial institution, which are approved financial institution referred to under 80E, borrowed money, the rate of TCS shall not be 5%. It will be 0.5%, 0.5%. Instead of 5%, 0.5%, a relief of a man who has taken a loan from financial institution, want to educate children who are outside India, wants to send money there. If it is more than 7 lakh, the TDS to be deducted, TCS to be collected will be only 0.5% and not 5%. This is 206C. There is a change. Now let me tell you, even in the seller of goods, if your turnover of the preceding year exceeded 10 lakh, seller of goods was supposed to be collected 0.1% if the amount exceeding 50 lakh he receives. Please note. Seller of goods, somebody asked me, what about the export of goods? Goods have been exported to a country outside India. The buyer is outside India. Is it necessary to collect TCS? They have now said it will not be applicable for export of goods. It will be applicable only domestic sale of goods, which you receive more than 50 lakh. Second, in the case of buyer, import also will not be. So if from buyer you receive more than 50 lakh, please note, deduction, collection is from on or after 110. But for calculating the limit of 50 lakh, whatever you have collected before 30th September will also be included. And then you will start deducting from 1st October at the rate of 0.1%. This is the change in 206C. So I have given you the government amendment, and they are 17, 18 in number, which were very important. Now I'm coming back. Now you know the disaster has taken place. Not in India, world over. India rather has been very proactive. Thanks to the Prime Minister, he took a right decision of lockdown. You may be feeling bad, but it was a positive action taken by him. Don't be pessimistic, be optimistic for everything. Coming back. So government has given certain concession. Well, banks have already, Reserve Bank has already given package for banks. There is a package for exporters also, which came yesterday for exporter of goods under customs, and they have been given some relaxation. There is a relaxation under other law also. There is a very big package which is being getting ready for giving to the trade and industry, and mainly small and medium type of industry. The package will come. But at the same time, they have given certain relaxation. They have brought an ordinance. The name of the ordinance is Taxation and Other Law, bracket, relaxation of certain provisions, Ordinance 2020. Try to understand. What is this ordinance? You know, whenever Parliament is not sitting, you have to bring ordinance on the recommendation of PM, the President issue an ordinance. Because otherwise, if any amendment has to be made, you have to present a bill to the Parliament. But Parliament is not there. So what to do? Ordinance has been placed. The rule of the ordinance is that whenever the next Parliament sits, within 6 months of the sitting of the Parliament, this ordinance has to be passed by the Parliament. They have a majority that will be passed. Or they can convert this ordinance into a bill, and that has to be passed by the Parliament. Now this ordinance has been brought. But wait a minute. People think this low battery again. What is the problem? I have used the word battery, then why? This is, otherwise I'll have to change my position to put it there. But wait a minute in the man. I said, look here, the relaxation. The relaxation is not under only Income Tax Act. The relaxation is under specified acts. They have used the word specified act. What are specified act? Income Tax Act. Number 2, Wealth Tax Act. Number 3, Prohibition of Benami Property Transaction Act. Number 4, Black Money Act. Number 5, STT law. Number 6, CTT law. Number 7, Equalization Levy. Number 8, Vivad Se Vishwas Act. What they have said, try to understand. There is a due date falling. Due date, there is a due date prescribed or specified or notified in any of these 6 acts, whatever act I have told you. There is a due date which is falling. Which is falling between 20th March to 29th June. 20th March to 29th June. It has been extended to 30th June. For example, now I give you some example first from income tax. You know, you have to file a return. You have to file a return of assessment year 1920 before the due date. But there are certain people who always file late return, which we call as belated return. The belated return for previous year 18-19 could be filed only up to 31st March 2020. Secondly, you have filed a return, but there is some omission or wrongful statement in the return. You wanted to file a revised return. The due date for filing a revised return was also 31st March 2020, which is falling after 20th March. Falling after 20th March. They said date that this belated return or revised return can be furnished up to 30th June. This is the first change. Second change. You remember in the bill it came that you have to link your Aadhaar card with the PAN number by 31st March. It was brought last year by 31st March. But Penny could not link it. But since the due dates were falling on 31st March, which is after 20th March, this has also been extended to 30th June. Next change, Vivad Se Vishwas, a very good scheme, particularly for Calcutta people. You know what has happened. It started from Calcutta, but it has gone everywhere. Ganges, you know, Ganges started from a particular place. Gangotri, Calcutta hai, but aage it has gone to the various places and it has numbered all those things which were there. You were given a benefit under the Vivad Se Vishwas scheme that kindly pay tax if any appeal is pending. We will give you exemption of penalty or interest, or if no tax is due, only interest is due, then we will give you exemption of that also, pay only 25. If there is a search case, 125% and all that. But you were supposed to pay that money up to 31st March 2020. Due to this, what have they done? Because it was falling after 20th March, they have extended this date to 30th June. So you all can pay tax or whatever amount is there under this Vivad Se Vishwas scheme up to 30th June without any making payment, 10% extra. Because earlier, after 31st March, it was 10% extra. From 100% to 110%, 125% to 135, 50%, 55%, 25%, 10% extra. But no, up to 30th June, no extra. And one more thing, you can pay even honor after 1st of July, but then 10% extra. If you make a payment honor after 1st July, 10% extra, but till what date? The date has not been specified, but most probably it will be 30th September. So this concession relaxation is also given. Now come to another relaxation. First, your due date under Income Tax Act, under Wealth Tax Act, under what you call CTT law, STT law, under Benami, under what you call Equalization Levy, under Vivad Se Vishwas, or all that. Due date. Now from department point of view, telling you, IT due date or income tax due date or authority or adjudicating authority, whatever. If the due date is specified or notified or specified is falling between 20th March to 29th June, it has been extended to 30th June. Meaning thereby, if there is a due date for completion of proceeding under Income Tax Act or under other act, or for passing an order, or for giving any approval, or for giving any sanction, for giving any what you call application exemption, if there is a due date which is falling under 20th March for proceeding, like 147 proceeding, the due date for 4-year or 6-year was 31st March. Department point of view, extended to 30th June. Wealth tax, you said why wealth tax has been brought? Reassessment under section 17. If the due date was 31st March of issue of notice, they have said it will be 30th June. So due date for completion of proceeding, due date for passing an order, due date for issue of notice, due date for issue of any intimation, due date or issue of any notification, due date of any sanction, due date of any approval, which was falling between 20th March to 29th June, has been extended to 30th June. Wait a minute. This is from department point of view. Now come to taxpayer point of view. Due date for filing of appeal, for furnishing of a return, for filing of any application, for filing of any report, for filing of any document, which was expiring between 20th March and 29th June, has also been extended to 30th June. So if I have to file any appeal, which was due date was between 20th March to 29th June, or if you have to file any return, if you have to file any report, if you have to file any application, if you have to file any document, if you have to file any reply, which was between due date was between 20th March and 29th June, it has been extended to 30th June. Any other line. Now coming to the next one. Coming to income tax. You know, we have section 54 to 54 GB. What is 54? You sell a residential house and you acquire, purchase as a residential house within a period of 2 years, or construct a residential house within a period of 3 years from the date of transfer, you will get exemption of capital. Now please note, if your due date is of that 2-year period or 3-year period is expiring, if your 2-year period or 3-year period is expiring on or after 20th March, but before 29th June, this has been extended to 30th June. Similarly, 54B, you sell an agricultural land, buy another agricultural land within a period of 2 years from the date of transfer. If the 2-year period is expiring between 20th March and 29th June, it has also been extended to 30th June. Similarly, 54EC, you sell a land or building on capital gain, you want to invest 50 lakh rupees in bonds of National Highway Authority or Rural Electrification Bond. That period, if that 6-month period is expiring between 20th March to 29th June, it has been extended to 30th June. Meaning thereby, all exemption under 54, 54B, 54D, 54EC, 54F, 54G, 54GA, 54GB, if it is expiring between 20th March to 29th June, extended to 30th June. Next one. You must have heard of 80C, 80D, 80G extended. No. All deduction under Chapter 6A under Part B, starting from 80C to 80GGC, which was allowed on payment basis, can be now made, the due date was 31st March, can now be made up to 30th June. For example, 80C, you wanted to claim deduction of 1,50,000. You have not deposited in PPF, or you have not purchased NSC, or you have not done it, or you have done less amount, you wanted to complete 150 for the balance amount up to 31st March. 80C extended. You can do it up to 30th June. Somebody asked me, sir, I wanted to deposit 1,50,000 in PPF. And if I deposit next year, they will say, once you cannot deposit more than 1,50,000 in PPF in 1 year. So next year I will not get deduction. Office memorandum has come, relaxation has come. It is already notified on 11th April. What it says, that if the last year you could not deposit for 80C and you want to deposit in PPF, you can deposit this year up to 30th June. You will have to give an undertaking that this will be valid. This will be for past year. And you can deposit for next year also. But wait a minute, what happened? Separate deposit for last year, but can do up to 30th June, separate deposit for this current year. And if PPF have been told that this deposit, the first deposit, which is where they have given undertaking, it can be considered for last year, and this deposit can be considered for new. So this is the benefit you are going to get. Wait a minute. 80C done. 80CCC, contribution to pension fund is 80CCC allowed on payment basis. That also been extended to 30th June, although total is allowed only 1,50,000. 80CCD, contribution to what you call pension trust. Remember new pension trust, where you are allowed 150 along with 80CC or 80CCC. That also extended to 30th June. Wait, additional deduction of 50,000, which is allowed under 80CCD, also extended till 30th June. This is the next 80D. You have not made payment health insurance premium, 30th June. 80E, borrowed money for education. If the payment was due on 20th March onwards, then at 31st March, you can do it on that. 80G, donation. If you have not made donation on 31st March, you can still make a donation up to 30th June, and you will be allowed deduction in the previous year, 1920. Please note, those companies with 22%, 15% can also donate, because that will be treated as a deduction of last year, which they will be allowed. But wait. You can donate to Prime Minister National Relief Fund. You get 100%. Nobody stops it. You can go to other fund. It is 50 or 100. But they have now extended under income tax the benefit to Prime Minister Care Fund. So these companies, or me, or ISA, you can donate to Prime Minister Care Fund. And that also will be allowed 100% reduction in the previous year. If you want to claim next year, please, if you are under 22, not allowed. If you are under 15, not allowed. And if you are individual or HUF in the new scheme, next year not allowed. But if you treat it as a deduction of 1920, it is allowed under, because a new scheme was not there earlier. Right? Wait. CSR fund of the companies have. They can also donate to Prime Minister Care Fund. Earlier it was allowed only for Prime Minister Relief Fund, but they can also donate to Prime Minister Care Fund. They cannot donate CSR to Chief Minister Welfare Fund or Relief Fund, but Prime Minister Care Fund included in CSR schedule. But yes, otherwise you can donate to Chief Minister Fund. You get 100% reduction. Do it up to 30th June. You will get 100. Please note, in Prime Minister Care Fund, 100% reduction allowed without 10% limit also. Next, if there is any tax due or there is any levy due under those acts like income tax, wealth tax, Benami Property Act, Black Money Act, CTT law, STT law, equalization levy, Vivad se Vishwas. If there is due date following between 20th March to 29th June, for example, now TDS of March is to be deposited by 30th April. You know that? Now you are not able to deposit by 30th April. There is an interest of 1% or 1.5%. Remember? They have not relaxed. They have not said that you can deposit up to 30th. They have said you will be given concession in the rate of interest. Instead of 1% or 1.5%, the rate of interest if you deposit after 30th April will be 0.75% till 30th June. If you deposit by 30th June, 0.75. But if you deposit after that, same 1%. TDS of March, which was supposed to be deducted on 30th April, deposited. If you deposit up to 30th June, will charge interest 0.75%. Similarly, TDS of April, supposed to be deposited by May 7. If you are not able to deposit by May 7, interest will be leviable, but rate will be 0.75% till 30th June. If you deposit after 30th June, it will become 1%. So that's what I'm saying. Even don't tell me March 2020's what you call advance tax. The due date was 15th March 2020. Due date is not 31st March, 15 March. It is a different thing that if you deposit after 15 March till 31st March, it was 1%. That will remain 1%. That is not 0.7. But if 15th June TDS, the rate will be 0.75% for 3 months if you deposit after that date, but till 30th June. Till 30th June. But yet remember, otherwise it's say 1%. So this also been extended for tax, only for tax and other levies, not only in income tax, other. There is no concession. The concession is under GST. Remember what is GST? If your turnover is less than 5 crore, GSTR 3B for March, which was supposed to be filed by 20th April, May, they have said less than 5 crore, file this return of February and March till 29th June, no interest. File the return of April till 30th June, no interest, less than 5 crore. File the of May month till July 12, no interest. Or for certain state 14th, no interest, if it is less than 5 crore. But if it is more than 5 crore, for month of February, 20th March was there, the relaxation is only 15 days. That means 20th March, you could deposit by 4th April. If you deposit by 4th April, no interest. But if you deposit after 4th April, the interest will be 9% per annum instead of 18% deposit. For month of, now what has happened? Please, you have to deposit by 24th June. 24th June for the month of February, GSTR 3B, which was due on 20th March, for the month of April 20th March, for May 20th March, till 24th June. 15 days relaxation, and after 15 days, 9%. Please note 24th June. If you deposit after 24th June, you have it full TDS. No relaxation also. Now for the month of May, you can deposit till 29th June. 29th June. But there is no relaxation of 15 days there. Coming back. Now for composition scheme, they have told 1.5 crore, you have to file an option. You have not filed option, don't worry, till 30th June extended. Now they are supposed to file also GSTR 3B. They have said okay. For February month, which was due on 20th March, you file by 30th June. For March, file by 3rd July. For April, file by 6th July. No tax, no interest, no penalty. This is about GST. You remember about GST, the dispute resolution scheme, which was due on 31st March, taken to 30th June. And under GST also, all this completion of proceeding, passing of an order, issue of a notification, issue of intimation, issue of any notice, or filing of any appeal, or furnishing any report, or furnishing any return, and all that, if they were due between 20th March to 29th June, they have been extended till 30th June. So that's what I wanted to tell you, and I have told you all that which I wanted to tell you about the relaxation which have been given there. If you have any question now, you can take up the questions one by one. I might have missed one or two things which I remember I'll tell you in between. So your question, please, you can read out the question. I'll answer each and every question. Absolutely no problem.
Sir, few questions are there. I am sharing the screen and I will read for you. Sir.
Please do that. You are sending me by this for a doctor practicing in Dubai, getting professional fee there and then. If the doctor is practicing there, he is not registered under Indian Medical Council of India. Because if you are setting up your profession here, you must be registered with Indian Medical Council. Then that money which is earning there, we have nothing to do with that. You are having income more than 50 lakh. Indian income plus income of a profession which is set up in India. Since he is not set up in India profession, then there is no problem. Second, will there be any relaxation for stay period of Section 6 because of some have been forced to stay in India because of lockdown? This is forced measure. You know, that started only on 21. Earlier the flights were going. So the problem is of that 10 days or 7 days, 9 days. The new year has just started 1st April. Sufficient time for this year.
Yeah.
Or last year, wait a minute,
Yeah,
last year, there is a possibility of giving that relaxation. But this relaxation has always been considered with the OECD. This is not going to be for India only. This is world over problem because the stay will put them into difficulty. They will become resident of that country. Wait and watch. They will be given some relaxation of number of stays which they have to overstay in India due to this lockdown. Wait and watch. It will come. It is not in a hurry. Sir, do you think taxing dividend is right? We have suggested that dividend should not be taxed in the hands of the recipient. It should be taxed in the hands of the company. It should be taxed in the hands of the recipient. There were 3 reasons for that. Number 1 reason was that if you are in slab of 5%, the company was paying 21%. You are slab of 10%. You are slab of 15%. Now you will have to pay tax at that. This is one reason. Second was, but we had told them that give them 20% reduction. They have not given. Second was foreign resident and non-resident. If the non-resident were investing in India, what used to happen is the company was paying tax at 21%. And the non-resident were also supposed to pay tax in the foreign country because they were told that you have not paid tax in India. We will not give you tax credit for that amount for which you have paid tax. You have not paid it. It is company which has paid. So they were doubly taxed. One, the dividend distribution tax was paid by the company. Secondly, in their country, whatever the dividend received from domestic company was taxed. They were paying it as, sir, this is double taxation. We are not getting relaxation. Now we wanted money from outside India. So we told them, look here, now you pay tax here. When you pay tax here, you will be liable to get tax credit in foreign country. You will get tax credit in foreign country. And secondly, if it is a treaty, you will get the benefit of treaty also. And in treaty, the rate of dividend tax only in India is 10%. And they balance the pay outside country. So let me tell you, this was the reason for bringing dividend taxable in the hands of the recipients. Next question. Sir, I'm not naming them, but I'm reading out. Sir, can we claim deduction of PPF, NPS made between 1/4/20 to 30/20 in financial year 2020? If yes, whether we have to give any declaration for that period or not? If you're claiming next year, who stops you? If you have already exhausted your 1920, next year you can do whatever you like. Nobody stops you. That between up to 30th June is when you give an undertaking that I will take the benefit last year. Otherwise, there is absolutely no problem. Please don't take that. There is no problem. Next one. What about TDS filing? Due date. Whether late fee for delay? Please. TDS filing extended to 30th June. Quarterly return. That is a return which had to be filed 30th June. So there will be no 200. But interest will be charged for March, April, May, if at the rate of concessional rate of 0.75% if you deposit after due date. Next question. Unabsorbed depreciation and business loss can be adjusted against current year income. One company to new regime. Sir, under new regime, you may be told that depreciation is allowed, no doubt, but additional depreciation will not be allowed. Depreciation will be allowed, additional depreciation will not be allowed. Make this as a point. Otherwise, the setting of loss of the depreciation will be allowed. Let me tell you, in the same year, it will be allowed, but carry forward will not be. Next change. For Mahadev Agarwal, what is this? Similar for delayed TDS return, whether additional fee, I've told you, already taken up. Now please move up. Please move the up. Anil Maheshwari and all. I'm coming to. What was that question? Yes. In VVS tax paid, Vivas se Vishwas tax paid within 15 days, from certificate received. Is certificate received 29th June? No. Certificate will be received by 31st May. Don't worry, because they are making the arrangement. The date is 31st May. Then payment due date will be 30th June or 30th July. No, certificate will be issued to you by 31st May. That amendment has been made. Donation made to April for the 1920. Whether the donation will be included in profit and loss account for MAT calculation. Sir, donation, if you are doing, it is an expense. So where is the question of MAT in this? Please note, if you are 22%, 15%, MAT is not there. If you are in 25, 30, the MAT is there only. In 2022, there is no MAT. MAT has gone. 22% and 15. But 25 and 30, MAT is there. And donation is an expense which is allowed. You know that, but it is allowed. It's different thing allows under chapter 6A. How does it matter? It is a deduction allowable. Coming back next is. Next, what is the next one? What about TDS filing due date? I've done that. Sir, move it if there are other.
One question is only left. Others are answered, sir. The question is from
the question now. Last one.
Nita. No, I have highlighted. Sir, do you think taxing dividend is right?
No, I have explained the whole thing.
Sir has already answered that.
Sir. That please shift it to the recipient. I told you that there is a benefit of that, but we had told them, I was also affected by that. We had told them give 20% deduction, standard deduction. But they have not given standard deduction 20%. They have given deduction only when you borrow money and you have to pay interest. That interest will be allowed as deduction subject to maximum of 20%. But that is their outlook. But we told them that my company was paying 21%. I was exempt. Now I have to pay 30% plus surcharge. I will be put into difficulty. Please give us 20% reduction so that it comes to 24%. We will bear it, but we will have lot of investment from out of India because they will not be paid tax. They will get, if they pay tax, they will get credit in that country. And if they are non-resident, the tax rate in India due to treaty will also be only 10% or 5%. That was the reason of doing it. Tell me anything else.
Yeah, one more question.
Sir, there is one more question from Sachin.
If share capital addition covered in Vivad Se Vishwas and tax pay, what will be accounting treatment? No accounting treatment. No, not allowed. It will remain as it is. You cannot convert to your capital. Even company law does not allow it. Even for loan, please don't take it because Benami law may come into picture. If you admit that your money, the Benami law may come into picture. Benami law, there is no limit. So please don't take the risk of doing it. Don't take the risk. I have told them they may come out with certain what you call FAQs. Let's see what kind of FAQ you get. Very shortly you will get it after the office open. Tell me any other.
Sir, one question from Mr. Sachin. He's saying whether depreciation on car purchased from 23rd August 2019.
Yeah.
To 31st March 2020, 30% is there. Now delivery of the car is taken on 19th of March. Only temporary passing done. Final number has not been received.
Doesn't matter. There are many judgments for that. There are many judgments for that. If you have got a car, you put it a day, even for 1 day. Judgment as that. There is a judgment for that. You can take it the benefit.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Mayur, any more question? Yeah, there are quite a few questions here, sir. Sir, whether any amenity from Benami Act if Vivad Se Vishwas scheme opted for?
I said Vivad Se Vishwas, if you treat this your money, they will say that your money you have been given as a loan. So therefore, it is Benami transaction. That's what I'm saying. Any other questions, sir?
Sir, I think there is one more from Anand Maskara ji, but I think it's a repetition.
Little louder because I'm not using my list. I put it there for.
Okay, sir. So one more question from Anand Maskara ji. For accrual payment of PPF and donation, do we have to do accrual entry? So, for example, I will pay in April, but do I have to
what entry? For PPF, where is the entry to be made? It is your personal amount. Why do you put it in
Correct.
business account?
Correct.
Or it is your personal, why is the entry to be done? I'm really surprised. Even if you follow cash system for personal expenses, where is the cash system or any accrual system? PPF is a personal deduction and not a company deduction or a firm deduction or a sole proprietor deduction. Why do you want to put it in the profit and loss account? Where is the question of accrual?
Correct, sir. Okay. I think that is it, sir. Mayur, any more questions?
No more question as of now.
Chale, thank you. Then we are going to sum
No,
up.
it was a great session,
Okay.
sir.
Sir,
Dr. Ahuja,
Let me one
it
thing
was
before I
really-
complete.
Sir,
Before
sir.
I complete, kindly stay home,
home.
whatever is the system, but do work from home. Don't sit idle. This is
Yes, sir.
another way that you are learning a lot from the
Yes, sir.
various webinars. Do keep attending. It is the knowledge you will be getting from many persons. Secondly,
Yes, sir.
also do at home. If you are employed, work from home. Don't show that thing. Your boss rings you up and you are showing that I'm working and नीचे आप मटर छील रहे हैं. ऐसा काम नहीं करना है. Work from home means work from home. Do work sincerely. It is a time. You know, way of life has changed. It is a good thing that we are living with our family. We did not know that our family is so good. We didn't know that our parents are so nice. We didn't know that our children are so good. You got an opportunity, enjoy that opportunity. Take it on a positive side. And secondly, the way of work has also changed. Now, most of the time, the work will start from at home, and you can do a lot of things at home, and you can do learning at also home. So kindly take care, stay at home, and tell others also, work for home. Thank you very much. Now you can.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite CA Bajrang Lal Agarwal, Secretary, to offer a vote of thanks to Dr. Ahuja.
Good evening, sir. On behalf of VIP Road CA Association, it's my great privilege to give vote of thanks to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir, you are a treasure of knowledge, sir. Your word of wisdom, sir, very informative for today's sessions. I am sure all the participants in the webinar will definitely got benefit from today's sessions.
If you still have some query, please give me or send email, but also give your telephone number. I don't reply on email. What really happens is I start replying, then you start putting another question because you are
Yes,
not
sir.
satisfied. My email ID you can note down. You are welcome. Dr. dot, very simple. Dr. is doctor. Dr. dot. Rest is Girish Ahuja at gmail.
Yeah.
Dr. dot Girish
Yes, sir.
Ahuja at gmail.com. But ask if it is necessary, because I have lot of queries coming these days. I have other work to do also, but you are most welcome if you have any query. Thank you very much. Take care. Take care. Now I will be leaving.
Thank you, sir.
Pardon
One
me?
more information. One more information. Tomorrow we are arranging a seminar of GST Act. The speaker will be the CA Jatin Ajay from Jaipur. So all the participants are requested. Please join tomorrow also. Thank you. Stay home.
Thank you.
Stay
Take
safe.
care. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
so much,
Thank
sir.
you very much, sir.
Thank you. All the
Thank you
best.
so much, sir.
Thank you to
Thank
all the
you. Thank you, sir.
participants. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.
ऐसे लिख भी लीजिए कलर मतलब फर्स्ट
Good